How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Mother SpongeBob 1000, and in this video, of course, we're going to focus more on this potential Christmas blizzard, which could bring over a foot of snow in many areas of the Midwest and the Northeast, and we're going to determine where exactly the heaviest snow will fall. Will we see the snowfall move more towards the east to where it could impact the coastal United States, or will we see the heaviest snow further westward into more of the Midwest states? I'll try to answer your questions in this video regarding the exact trajectory and where the heaviest snowfall will be. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more while they comment. So let's begin by taking a look at the GFS model as of the latest 18Z run. And if I were to continue to move forward, we have seen the GFS model pretty much maintain its forecast, where it still wants to bring it a lot further eastward than the European model, but necessarily not so far eastward to where it'll bring heavy snowfall right up along the Interstate 95 corridor cities. We do see a little bit of snow on the backside of this storm impact a little bit of Philadelphia and New York City, but it isn't necessarily very heavy, as we see that the heaviest snow is well further westward, impacting more of the Midwest states like Ohio, Indiana, and the Southeast. And while the current trend seems to be trending towards bringing this storm a little bit further westward, there's still a pretty high amount of uncertainty regarding the track forecast. So just because computer models have been trending a little bit further westward does not mean that at all that will be the final scenario, and that there's no chance that this could move further eastward, because there's still that possibility. It really all depends on this position of this ridge, because this strong ridge is going to be the main catalyst in determining whether or not this will move up along the east coast and bring heavy snowfall along the Interstate 95 corridor cities, or bring snowfall further westward while primarily making it a rain event right along the coastal cities of the Northeast. We're going to need to see how far west or how far east this ridge will be located to really determine how strong northwesterly winds will be, because the southerly winds will be, because the further west this is, then we're going to see a stronger pressure gradient between this ridge and this, of course, trough that's going to dig into the Midwest. That's going to bring very cold and snowy conditions to the Midwest. As it does so, that pressure gradient is going to bring a strong southerly flow, which will bring, of course, those warm temperatures very far up northward to where most of the Northeast would experience a rain event in this scenario. However, if we were to see the southerly winds a little bit weaker, then we're more likely to see a snowstorm impact the Northeast, and really all depends on how far west this ridge will be located. So I'll keep you guys updated over the next several days, but as of right now, it seems like a GFS model is leaning towards bringing the heaviest snow not only the Midwest but the Southeast, where Little Rock, the northern portions of the Gulf Coast states like Mississippi and Alabama, and a large portion of Tennessee do experience some heavy snowfall, and even the Northeast, where during the beginning of this run, we do see a little bit of snow right around Pennsylvania and the northern portion of New Jersey before it eventually changes over the rain. But if I were to continue to move forward, we see the snow eventually impact the tri-state area of New York City on the backside, where we do see some heavy snowfall on the backside and a very strong low pressure system, where the millibar pressure is centered right around 955 millibars, which of course will enhance those winds surrounding this storm. However, I will say that it's pretty much inevitable at this point the United States will experience a major Christmas blizzard. What really we're trying to determine is where exactly the heaviest snowfall will, of course, impact fall in the United States. Now, taking a look at the European model. The European model has been very persistent on bringing a track a lot further westward, where we see more of the heaviest snow further northward and closer to the Midwest, and impacting more of Chicago, Wisconsin, even Michigan gets more involved with a lot more snowfall, Ohio and Indiana as well. So Cleveland, Indianapolis, you need to pay very close attention to this, because it seems like both of the computer models are leaning towards bringing a heavy amount of snow to the Midwest. And to see how this storm will develop, we're going to see a trough that's gonna move up, move eastward along this subtropical jet that's located just south of Texas. And as this trough continues to move eastward, we're gonna see a piece of energy associated with this trough linger around as a result of this blocking ridge, which will increase the temperatures right around southeast. And as this Arctic trough digs in, we're gonna see a highly unstable environment as a result of this warm core trough that's gonna interact interact with this very cold Arctic trough that's going to dig into the United States, and we're going to see a high enough amount of instability for this storm to rapidly intensify as it heads further eastward. And again, what really will determine the exact track will be the location of this ridge, how strong the southerly winds will be, because if the southerly winds are too strong, that would position the jet stream on the eastern side to face more from a southerly to northerly direction rather than a westerly to easterly direction, which will turn the snow pressure system northward a lot quicker to where the eastern half of the United States would experience more of a southerly flow, bringing more rain to the northeast. We're going to need to wait and see how strong this ridge will be just to the east of this low pressure system, really determine who experienced the worst impacts. And while the computer models seem to be trending a little bit further westward, I do think it's getting increasingly likely that this will primarily bring snow to the interior northeast and the Midwest. We can't rule out the possibility that snow could move eastward, because I'm going 5 days out. A lot could change. But take a look at the snowfall accumulation forecast provided from the GFS model. So if we were to take a look at that, you're going to see that this brings a heavy amount of snow over a large area of the Midwest and the Northeast, as this storm, like I said, is going to be quite powerful. The GFS model is forecasting to drop this storm's millibar pressure down to 955 millibars, which is easily equivalent to a Category 5 hurricane. And of course, as a result of that, the low pressure system being so powerful, the expansiveness of the snow will be extremely large. So we're going to see the scope of this storm be extremely large for snowstorm standards in the United States, where we do see that a large area of the Midwest experiences over 6 inches of snow, where we see 6 to 12 inches right around the mid section of the country, right around Kansas, Missouri, and even as far south as Oklahoma and Arkansas could get involved if the GFS model scenario was correct. And we do see heavy snowfall as well right around the Great Lakes region, where Ohio, Indiana experiences 6 to 12 inches, which would be considered a major snowstorm for you guys, as it's very rare for those states to really get a snowstorm that dumps over a foot of snow. And there's that possibility with this snowstorm, thanks to how powerful it is and how expansive the area of snow will be associated with the storm. And we do see that the interior Northeast experiences over a foot of snow, and you see that as for the Interstate 95 corridor cities, while New York City is experiencing less than an inch of snow in the GFS model scenario, you're right there to experiencing 3 to 6 inches. So any small shifts in the forecast can make a big difference in terms of how much snow you experience. And the same goes for Philadelphia and Washington, D.C., where Washington, D.C., in fact, in this scenario is experiencing 1 to 3 inches. So it's a little bit too early to determine how far east it will go. I would place bets that this storm would bring the heaviest snowfall further westward, but don't rule out that possibility. We could see a shift further eastward. And take a look at the European model. It really goes to show that there's still a high amount of uncertainty with this storm, because two of the main computer models are in pretty big disagreement. We have the GFS model wanting to bring major snow to the southeast, while the European model does not do any of that and restricts the heaviest snow well further northward, more towards Chicago, Milwaukee, Iowa, and Minnesota. So there's still quite a bit that could change between these two computer models. We're going to need to wait and see which one will be the correct one. If the GFS model scenario is more correct, then we should see the European model eventually cave in, lean more towards the European model scenario, which certainly is a possibility. But there's also a possibility a GFS model could follow what the European model is stating. So definitely we're going to need to pay close attention to see which computer model pretty much caves or tries to mimic the other one, because that would certainly rise certainty with this forecast. But still a lot of days to go and a lot of variables, so I'll keep you guys updated over the next several days. But this would be a major storm either way, whoever it impacts in the United States. So pretty much all throughout the eastern half of the United States, you need to pay very close attention to this, because it's likely that you are under the possibility of experiencing a major Christmas blizzard. So make sure to keep that in mind, and I'll keep you guys updated over the next several days. But just make sure that Christmas blizzard is likely somewhere in the eastern half of the United States, and I'd say it's becoming increasingly likely, especially for the Midwest, where Chicago, Indianapolis, Cleveland especially could experience extremely heavy snowfall from this storm. In the Southeast, needs to be aware of that possibility as well. Now, taking a look at the North Atlantic Oscillation Index, I have been showing you guys this over the past several videos, but I really want to emphasize that we're more likely to experience colder and snowier than average conditions throughout the United States, thanks to the fact that we're in negative North Atlantic oscillation. So even if you don't experience snow from this specific snowstorm, there could be there's a much higher possibility you will experience potentially your first snowfall in the next snowstorm, thanks to the fact that it's more than likely going to be colder and snowier than average for the most of the United States. So let me keep that in mind as we approach the Christmas time frame and of course into New Year, before eventually we should rebound back to a neutral phase right around the beginning of January. And taking a look at my forecasts for my snowfall accumulation forecast from the latest based on the latest updates of the computer models. So I am basing my forecast a little bit more towards the GFS model, but the European model also has played a role in terms of making this snowfall accumulation map. And you see that there's that possibility you could experience over a foot of snow into Ohio, the interior Northeast especially. And we do see that based on the GFS model's forecast, we could see a large area of 6 to 12 inches of snow even into the Southeast, such as Tennessee, Memphis, Little Rock could experience 6 to 12 inches of snow, and even Detroit and Michigan and pretty much the entirety of Michigan could be under the risk of 6 to 12 inches of snow, and Chicago as well could get involved with 3 to 6 inches of snow associated with this extreme Christmas blizzard. And as for the Interstate 95 corridor, you're right in between the border of experiencing maybe an inch or two of snow to no snow at all, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do see pretty big shifts in the forecast over the next several days. So make sure to stay tuned for the next several updates regarding this storm, because the two main computer models are still in pretty big disagreement, so it's really hard to say which scenario will be the correct one at this time. But I'll make sure to keep I'll make sure to keep you guys updated as certainty does rise with this storm. But anyways, guys, I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather content. I hope you guys have a great day.